Welcome to Theater Crafts, where we take theater memorabilia and we transform them into new treasures. Now, I'm sure you've been in lots of shows, and oftentimes when you're in shows, you get show shirts. And you probably have tons of them in your dresser drawers, in your closet. You probably don't even wear all of them, or maybe you've even outgrown some of them. You don't want to get rid of them, though, because they hold sentimental value. But I have a way today of taking some of those show shirts and transforming them into pillows. Stay tuned. Okay, here we are in our workstation, and here are the materials we're going to need for our project. We have our show shirt here. We have a pillow form. You can get a pillow form at any fabric or craft store. You've got scissors. I would recommend having pins, and obviously needle and thread if you want to hand sew it. I'm going to actually use the sewing machine for this, but you could also hand sew it as well. All right, so I'm going to put the pillow to the side, and I'm going to take the shirt. Now I'm going to fold the shirt in half, mostly so that I can get the same cut on each side of the shirt. So let's see. Okay, I'll fold it in half like that. All right. And I'm not going to be very precise about this, and you'll understand why in a moment. We've got, if you remember in the original, I actually have this kind of like cool fringe on the edge of it. And so it's going to be very forgiving because of that. And you'll see how we're going to do that in just a moment. So we're going to cut just below the neckline here. So I'm going to cut straight across. Now I've got it on my grid here so that I can use that as a guide. And so I'm going to cut straight across. And again, this is pretty forgiving. Okay. And then we're going to move this way a little bit. And we've got, here's the pillow form. I'm just going to look to see about how much space we need. I'm going to give a couple of inches on the side over here on this right side. So I'm going to give that, let's see, I'll cut it right around. Let's see if you can see that. Right around here. And again, it doesn't have to be exact. There we go. Okay, I'll put that to the side. And then I'm going to take the rest of the shirt and I'm just going to cut it up the side here. I'm going to fold that down so that we've got that pretty straight. Okay. Cut straight across here. Good scissors here is a good thing to have. Cut through all those different layers. Okay, so now we've got two pieces of fabric. And what's so great about it is they're the same size. And so basically this is the front and the back of your pillowcase that you're going to use. Now, if you notice, because of the way the shirt is, there's a lot of room down at the bottom here. I'll show you on the original, on the finished pillow. This might be a good place where you can use a fabric marker and have your friends sign the pillow or the shirt when it's in shirt form. That would be a great way to remember the show, or you could even write the show dates on there, again with a fabric marker, or where you did the show, or something special memories about the show, anything like that. You could also use a Cricut if you have a Cricut, and you could iron on some information about the show as well. All right, so we've got this shirt here, and we're actually going to now head up to the sewing machine where I will sew those two pieces together. Okay, so we are at the sewing machine, and one thing I recommend that you do is go around with your pins and pin the two pieces together. I pin them in a couple of inches from the edge, and that'll become clear in a moment why I'm doing that. It's just to keep them from coming apart as you're sewing and working on the pillow. Okay, so just pinning, see, like that. Just a few, you don't need a ton. And then a pin right there. Okay, so now you see here, we've got, this is the front, this is the back of the shirt as we had, as if you were wearing it. And we're going to start at the bottom about a couple of inches in here from the side. And we're going to, I'm going to use my plate here on my sewing machine as a guide. And I'm going to start it right around here. I'm using just a straight stitch on my machine, but again, you can do this as hand sewing if that is what works for you. So you're going to sew, do a couple of stitches, then you're going to reverse, and that's just to lock your stitch in. Sewing. When you get to the corner, you're going to lift your presser foot and turn it. That way you get a nice sharp corner. And then you're just going to go all the way to the other end. Making sure you don't go over those pins. Machines don't like that so much. Again, when you get to that corner, you're going to lift your presser foot. Okay, and keep going. This is our third side. Now we're getting to the bottom where we started. You're going to do the turn again, just like you did earlier. But this, you're going to go a couple of inches in, and then again back stitch just to lock in your stitch. So I'm going to take all my pins out. And you'll notice that there is a section, okay, there's a section at the bottom right here that we did not sew, and that's where we're going to put the pillow form in. Okay, so the very next thing we're going to do is we're going to fringe it. Okay, so here we are back at the work table, and I don't know if you can see this, there's the black thread right along here where we stitched, and that will be inside is where we'll put our pillow. But the way I did this, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to fringe the edges. Okay, so you can see here, I'm gonna, you want to be careful not to cut into that stitching. Now you may not be able to see the stitching on camera, but I can see it here. So, and I'm maybe doing like 1/8 of an inch apart. There's no rhyme or reason here. It can be whatever you feel is suiting your aesthetic. And you're going to cut all the way around. And when you get to a corner, I'm going to get to the corner in just a moment. When you get to the corner, I'll show you how you might want to handle that, because you can't do the fringing on both sides. So what I did on the example is I cut to the corner, and then when I turned it, I cut like right to that line, and then I was cutting this piece out. So just cut that piece out like that. All right, so I'm gonna fringe the rest of it off camera, and I will be back in a moment. Okay, so you see I've fringed all the way around the entire piece, including the bottom here. Remember, the bottom is not currently sewn together. So the reason you could cut them before you sew it, but it's nice to be able to have them even. The other thing you could do too is if you're not interested in sewing it, you could cut these ahead of time, both pieces ahead of time, again, cutting them together and actually tying the back and the front pieces together. You could do that, and that would give you kind of a similar look as well. So that's another way to get around the sewing if that's not something that you're interested in. All right, so now we're going to take the pillow form. You kind of have to squish it in a little bit, and you're going to put it inside. Sometimes this is the trickiest part. Put it inside the pillow casing here. Oh, this is looking so cute. Okay, do you see that? Sometimes you just need to put those corners, get those corners all filled in there. Okay, so there we go. Now we're going to take this back to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew the bottom closed, because remember we left that open here. It's about 2 inches sewn in on each side. Again, you could also hand sew that. You could even use like a hem tape of some sort, where you, or you know, an adhesive that that would work. You could even put Velcro on it so that you can open it up and wash it. That's a great idea as well. All right, so we're going to take this back to the sewing machine and finish up the pillow. Okay, so I'm back at the sewing machine. I'm going to pin these together just to make sure that we're getting them lined up properly, and just a couple pins is all you need. The other thing too is when you're sewing it, especially now that we have fringed the edges, you want to make sure that you don't get those edges caught in the sewing. All right, so this is going to be the trickiest part, I think, actually, is sewing these 2 pieces together. So now I can see the thread from the previous stitching. You may not be able to see that on camera. And again, the same thing, you're going to stitch a little bit, then you're going to back stitch. So I'm going to stitch, and then I'm going to back stitch just to tack those stitches in. Okay, so it doesn't come unraveled. And then we're going to sew across. I'm going to just take your time here, just again, because the pillow is adding some bulk in here, so we want to make sure that we are able to get that through. Okay, and I've got my fingers underneath just because I'm trying to get the fringe out from underneath to make sure it doesn't get caught. Just be careful, you don't want to sew your fingers. All right, there we go. Almost done. Again, back tack there. And there we go. There is our pillow. All right, I'm going to go back to the workstation. You can take a good look at it. Okay, so here we are back at the workstation. There's the pillow we just made. You can see the fringe. You can always fluff up the fringe, make it nice and kind of fluffy there. And here's the one that I made previously. So you could put these on your bed. You can put them on, you know, a chair. That way you've got these pieces to save for a long time, especially if the shirt doesn't fit you any longer. And like I said, you can put names on this. You can put information about the show on it as a way to keep that memory alive. So I hope you enjoyed today's theater craft, and I look forward to bringing lots more theater crafts to you in the weeks to come. Have a great day.